I've long suspected that my audience secretly hates me and wants me to suffer, and I think I have empirical proof of it now. Ron DeSantis announced that he was running for president last night, and a couple people asked me to cover it. And I'm like, I really don't want to cover this because it's physically painful to even watch any of this. And people are like, no, Argent, we really want you to. And I'm like, okay, I'll make a poll. And people overwhelmingly wanted me to go through this again. And I mean, I had enough last night watching this on Real American Politics channel, but in the words of the late, the great President Obama, yes, we can. So, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has been hinting that he's been going to run for quite a while. He's been listed as the other major frontrunner to Trump. I know 6 to 8 months ago, I recall him being almost the frontrunner to Trump. A lot of people saying that Trump's too old, Trump has too much baggage, Trump's unhinged, Trump's bad on the issues, and stuff like that. But Trump's made yet again another big comeback. You had the CNN town hall, you had the bogus arrest charges against him, the FBI raiding him, just a whole bunch of other insane stuff that made people like Trump again. And as we'll see in a minute, Trump is really returning to form. We're starting to see that 2016 quintessential troll Donald Trump remaking an appearance. So over time, the polls have just consistently shown Trump is well over 50%. Even if all remaining anti-Trump voters were to coalesce around DeSantis, he would not have enough votes to win this election. And we have the clown car of like John Bolton and what's his name? Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, whatever that governor of North Dakota, just a bunch of random people running. So the vote's going to be split among all of them. The polls I've mostly been seeing have Trump about 50 to 60 and DeSantis about 20 something. So Trump has more than double his share of the vote. So I initially thought what DeSantis was doing was he was dipping his toe in. He was going to see how well he was polling. If he was polling within striking distance of Trump, maybe he'd jump in. If he was not within striking distance of Trump, maybe he'd decide to stay out or try to come up with some sort of deal to unify the party in order to become Trump's VP. And that's kind of what I thought he was going, but apparently that's not what he decided. He's going to enter into a primary. It looks like he really has no chance of winning unless something insane happens, which, given that we're dealing with Trump, very well could happen. Now, on DeSantis himself, he's not perfect. His Israel stuff is kind of cringy. Some of his economic policies aren't that bad. But on the whole, I like him. I think he's a good governor. He's one of the best governors in America. He has terraformed Florida into being like a likely to safe Republican state. They passed all kinds of good legislation or in the process of passing good legislation, pro-life legislation. He went to town on Disney. They did some good education reforms, banning critical race theory. Lots of other good stuff. They did a good gerrymander that increased the number of House seats Republicans had there. I think he's been a very effective governor. And honestly, I don't think he's that bad a candidate, at least on the surface, for president. I was thinking if Trump was too old or too sickly or not mentally there, yeah, DeSantis wouldn't be a bad guy to run. Or maybe even better, he could be Trump's VP, and then he would basically be a shoo-in to run in 2028. But he opted to not do this and decided that he wanted to go up against Trump directly. And so far, and I think DeSantis is a fairly conservative guy. He's not, I don't think he is a rhino or anything like that. But all the never-Trumpers, all the rhinos, all the GOP establishment just immediately latched themselves onto him like a parasite. They're like, Ron, you're going to win this. You can beat Trump. Trump's evil. You're the sensible centrist, as Elon Musk put it. You're the man, Ron. You're going to become the next president. And I think it's kind of, he's surrounded by bad actors who are just kind of parasiting off of him. So I say all this to say I don't have anything against Ron DeSantis personally. I think he's one of the better governors. I think he's one of the better figures in the Republican Party. Although there's some very big issues with him, like the involving Israel and some of his foreign policy stuff. But by and large, he's a massive improvement over someone like Romney or Bush or McCain. Anyway, so as I said, Elon Musk came out and endorsed him, which is kind of interesting. I wasn't really sure what kind of person Elon Musk would endorse, or if he would even endorse anybody. If anything, I'd maybe expect him to endorse someone like RFK, but maybe RFK is just too far to the left of him on economic issues. Elon's kind of a bit of a libertarian. But anyways, DeSantis decided, look, Elon Musk is one of the most well-known people in the world. He has this massive reputation. Let's leverage this. I'm going to announce my candidacy on Twitter. And when you hear that, you're like, oh, okay, so he's going to hold a rally and he's going to stream it on Twitter. He's going to, like, so what I thought initially was, okay, he's going to have a rally, maybe at Twitter HQ. Elon's going to be there. Elon's going to stream it on his Twitter. They're going to stream it on DeSantis's Twitter. Maybe they're also going to stream it on YouTube, on Rumble, on all these different platforms. It'll be kind of cool. It's showing that Twitter's changed, that the GOP is adapting to like new technology. He's taking advantage of the fact that Elon's a big name, giving him some more name recognition. Makes sense, right? Except that's not what happened. We didn't do a live stream on Twitter. They did a Twitter Spaces. And I don't even really know what a Twitter Space is. Apparently a Twitter Space is basically like a Discord channel, only worse in every possible way. I don't know if any of you remember TeamSpeak from back in the day, but it was basically just a very basic chat program, verbal chat program, that did its job very well, but didn't really have much other functionality. And that's apparently what Twitter Spaces is. It's literally just a Discord channel. So DeSantis announced his candidacy basically on a Discord channel. There was no rally. There was no video. It kind of comes across as being like a podcast. And DeSantis just is, like, he's not particularly charismatic to begin with, but this is the worst possible format for him. Like, he can't, he's not really a guy who can make jokes and shoot the shit and like, kind of just go with the flow. Trump, whatever you say about him, he's good in situations where, like, the town hall, where people put him up against something. He's pretty good at coming up with quips, of kind of joking along with the host, of kind of adjusting to the situation. So while I think it would be a bad idea for a variety of reasons for Trump to do this, it definitely would have gone better. We're going to get into watching some of this. But basically, it's like a podcast on a Discord channel where he just gives a rehearsed speech, which doesn't make... It's not the format for that. The format for that is a YouTube video, it's a rally, it's a live stream. It doesn't make any sense. And on top of that, apparently, like, they're going to have to fire all the interns at Twitter, because this had massive technical issues. It didn't work at all. It was a complete and total clusterfuck. And that's before we get into how bad the content was. We also had, like, these really cringy DeSantis sycophants who were, like, praising how awesome he was. And it's like this fake town hall thing. The whole thing is just a fucking disaster. Honestly, given the pro-life laws that DeSantis has signed into law in Florida, under them, I doubt that this announcement would be legal. I'm sure you get what my implication is there. So before we get into the actual thing, we're going to take a look at this. This is like, what is this? This is DeSantis for president. I admit, maybe my eyesight's bad. I do wear glasses. I can barely see the for president. Why is there 3 stars? That flag looks hideous. Why is it on a blue background? It's just terrible looking. And it's small, and it just looks like shit. Got this horrible gradient. We have this picture that doesn't even look HD. Like, that picture, I don't know, it's just a weird looking picture. I'm running for president of the United States because I want to lead a great American comeback. Our country's going the wrong direction. We see it with our eyes. We feel it in our bums. You know what this feels like? This feels like a website that a school board would make for like a civics class. Like, this is an example of what a candidate might have, and it would just be like a completely just some like the most stock thing possible. And we don't have, I don't think there's an issue page. Okay, we got join the team. Okay. We have volunteer. We have the DeSantis shop. Let's see how bad the DeSantis shop is. Oh, okay, that's cringe. He references the deep state based. Oh, it's terrible. It's horrible. To be fair, they're all horrible. So, we live in a free country. I don't know. That's not a very thing. The announcement that crashed the internet. I don't like using the word cope, but this is just massive cope. It's like, look, it was a disaster. It didn't work, but it broke the internet. That's how awesome I am. This was his teaser trailer, so we're just going to watch it because it's also awful.
To make ends meet, and the president flounders. But decline is a choice. Success is attainable, and freedom is worth fighting for.
I never actually heard his voice. It's just his intonation or lack of intonation is really weird. He just seems to say, like, and I get that I can't really tell, I'm tone deaf, but I just feel like he doesn't emote at all when he's speaking. It's really weird.
Truth must be our foundation, and common sense can no longer be an uncommon virtue. In Florida, we proved that it can be done. We chose facts over fear, education over indoctrination, law and order over rioting and disorder. We held the line when freedom hung in the balance. We showed that we can and must revitalize America. We need the courage to lead and the strength to win. I'm Ron DeSantis, and I'm running for president to lead our great American comeback.
Now, they changed how they pronounce his name a lot. And Great American Comeback just literally is like Make America Great Again. Trump should sue him for stealing his phrase. Okay, so that is that, and I think that's pretty bad to begin with. This website is a fucking, like, it just looks horrible. This dude got, like, what did he raise? Like $200 million in his last campaign? He couldn't come up with something better than this? Like, I could make a better website than this, unlike WordPress. I have made better websites than this. I used to manage websites at one of my previous jobs. It looked way better than this. This is just so bad. It's just, okay. All right. Okay, so before we get into it, I just like to say that Trump is back. This Trump posted that this is not a joke. This is not a parody. Well, this is a parody, but the actual Donald Trump account posted this. This was a parody of the Twitter space. I mean, look who we have. We have Dick Cheney, Adolf Hitler, Satan, the FBI.
Hi,
I don't know
everyone.
who Klaus is, and George Soros.
Hello?
So this is actually a video, so we're just going to watch
George,
this first.
can you just wait while we...
Okay, so let's watch this.
Can you hear me?
3, 2, 1,
We can all hear you,
go.
George. Can you just hold on for a second?
Hilfa, I don't think they can hear me.
I can hear you fine, George. Just speak to the
I don't think George
microphone.
knows how to use Twitter.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Can I please make my big announcement now? Everyone just...
Hello?
Just shut up, George.
Can somebody just mute George?
Dick, could you try not to cough on the...
Okay, so how are we going to take out Trump, you guys?
Guys from the FBI, this is not a private call. This is a public Twitter space. Everyone can listen in.
God damn it.
Anyway, guys, we invited everyone to this Twitter space so Governor Ron DeSantis could...
Everyone just shut the hell up so I can make my announcement, okay?
You go, girl. Wait, the devil is gay?
So what? Everyone in this call is gay. I happen to know every single one of you has a secret gay lover hidden in your closet.
Mein Führer, ich kann nicht zulassen, dass die Soldaten, die für Sie verbringen.
Guys, can we please just calm down?
So anyway, guys, I just wanted to announce that I'm...
Okay, I can hear the
I
governor
think
very
that's
well.
Shut up. Would you please shut up already? I'm running for
From
fucking president,
Downfall.
okay?
Yeah, we kind of already
We
knew about
already
it.
know, Governor.
Congratulations, Governor.
Well, that concludes our Twitter space for today. Thank you to all of our...
Hold your horses, Elon. The real president is going to say a few words. The devil, I'm going to kick your ass very soon. Hitler, you're already dead. Dick Cheney sounds like you'll be joining Hitler very soon. Klaus Schwab and George Soros, I'm putting both your asses in jail. And Ron DeSanctimonious can kiss my big, beautiful 2024 presidential ass. Trump 2024, baby. Let's go.
So yeah, that was. I don't think he made that, but he shared that, which I think is fucking amazing. That is keto. That is keto. That is a troll. Is it completely unprofessional and tasteless and unbecoming a president? Yeah, it is, but it's also just awesome. I mean, this is the kind of Trump that we missed. This is like the 2016 energy again. Okay, so let's take a look at the painful part of this. So this is I think a compilation that the Telegraph put together of some of the best moments from, or this is like what, so Twitter Space happened. It had massive technical issues. I think the whole thing started half an hour late. It repeatedly crashed. We're just going to listen to some of this, and then we're going to go and look at the full video.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, everyone, depending on wherever in the world you're joining us from. I'm broadcasting live from Twitter headquarters. It's David Sachs here. Elon is sitting next to me, and we want to welcome you to this historic Twitter Spaces event, and more broadly, a first in the history of social media. All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers, which is a good sign. Might have surprised many, but not those of us who've known and worked with Elon for nearly a quarter century. His commitment to freedom and his willingness to put his money where his mouth is, upset the narrative control imposed on us by our government, elite institutions, and corporate media.
Like, dude, Elon, like, check this stuff before you put it out. Like, you shouldn't be having, like, as shitty as my production values are.
Yeah.
Like, I can at least some of the time put out a video that doesn't echo.
So they just keep crashing, huh?
Yeah, I think we've got just a massive number of people online, so it's servers are straining somewhat.
Audio completely cuts out.
All right, well, it's certainly an incredible honor. To have Governor DeSantis make this stark announcement.
Keep in mind, this is actual footage. This is they edited it for time, but this is actual
DeSantis,
footage.
For this historic.
We're just trying to get it going because it's
And then it actually literally cut to just some random music.
It's unfortunate. I've like to never seen this before from Governor DeSantis for this historic.
We're just trying to get it going because it's.
Rain, come on, save me from having to watch this. Give the audience at home a meow. Stupid cat. Wow. That was bad. Okay. All right, you asked. We're not gonna watch this whole
All right,
thing.
I think we're broadcasting.
It made me wanna
Man, I think we melted the internet.
blow my brains out. Rain just I tried to pick her up and she ran away. She doesn't want to listen to this either. So let's just start this. this.
Independence drugs
And
Okay. Let's see here.
all right, I think we're broadcasting. Man, I think we melted the internet there.
Yeah, that was insane. Sorry,
That's amazing.
I'm actually doing this from David Sax's Twitter account because
this is like
looks
one of
like
my
Jennifer Mine
streams.
basically broke the Twitter system. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. We're incredibly excited to announce to have Governor DeSantis on with us with this historic announcement, and then look forward to. With that.
Yeah, I mean, so Governor DeSantis, are you there? Can you hear us? I think you broke. All
I'm
right,
here.
excellent.
This
I
is
know,
literally
I
what
think
it
you broke
looked
the
like.
internet there. We had over.
This is the big announcement
Twitter
video.
Space, and it was growing by like 50,000 a minute. So, congrats on breaking the internet there.
Well, yeah. I mean, try some new things. You're gonna.
Yes.
It's adventurous. So
yes.
But I think the value here is actually really high for people to hear directly from presidential candidates and to answer a Q&A live, and you can get a sense for how a candidate really is, and where it's not just canned speeches and teleprompters. It's you can. You can tell
live Q&A is fucking
some
awful.
of the mistakes that it's real.
Yeah.
So, with that,
the irony of that statement that it's not just canned speeches until you'll see.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So, yeah, Governor, there's been a lot of speculation over the last couple of months about your plans. I understand
that is a
you
galaxy
have an announcement to make. We've got, I think, a record audience assembled here. Probably the biggest room that's probably ever been assembled online. What would you like to tell them?
Well, I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback. Look, we know our country's going in the wrong direction. We see it with our eyes and we feel it in our bones. Our southern borders collapse. Drugs are pouring into the country. Our cities are being hollowed out by spiking crime. The federal government's making it harder for the average family to make ends meet and to attain and maintain a middle-class lifestyle. And our president, well, he lacks vigor, flounders in the face of our nation's challenges, and he takes his
Like, it's just so weird. It's like they introduce him and he immediately just goes into this, like rehearsed speech that sounds like he's reading off of a piece of paper. Like, especially after he just said, "Oh, it's not a canned speech. It's not just a but like it's worse than that. Like this speech is terrible, but it would have been better if this was at a rally. This is like a podcast format.
to our nation. This means embracing fiscal and economic sanity. Stop pricing hardworking Americans out of a good standard of living through inflationary borrow, print, and spending policies, and please embrace American energy independence. This also means replacing the woke mind virus with reality, facts, and enduring principles. Merit must trump identity politics. We must return normalcy to
He
our
says
communities.
woke a lot.
America's
Like,
a sovereign
he's good
country.
on the issue, don't get me wrong. It's just variety is the spice of life, and I don't know. Maybe mix it up a bit.
Cartels to poison our population with fentanyl. Public deserves safe communities, and law and order must be maintained in American cities. We can't have inmates running the asylum, and we must reject attacks on the men and women of law enforcement. We also must reestablish integrity in our institutions. This includes the military. I'm proud to be a Navy veteran, an Iraq veteran, and I revere our services. But when revered institutions like those in our military are more concerned with matters not central to the mission, whether it's global warming or gender ideology and pronouns, morale declines and recruiting suffers. And you need to eliminate these distractions, and we need to get focused on the core mission. We also cannot have true constitutional government if the most significant issues are decided by the whims of unelected bureaucrats rather than the people's elected representatives.
It's just literally like every modern
integrity and
like conservative talking. Like, don't get me wrong, like this isn't that bad if you actually look at the substance of it. Like, this is better than the message. This is better than most of the GOP. He just, there's no like annotations. It just feels like a robot reading something off a script. Like, RFK had a much better thing. And he sounds better despite having like some sort of vocal cord disability. He actually sounds like, if you read his stuff, he brings something different to the table. He has his like Reconcile America. He has some different policy ideas. He's kind of like a liberal populist. RFK is legitimately interesting. Trump is legitimately interesting. DeSantis
We
is not.
chose facts over fear, education over indoctrination, law and order
Oh.
over rioting and disorder. We held the line when freedom
So
was under the
cringe.
balance. And we're thriving as
You already said that.
Florida is the nation's fastest growing state. We're number one in net in-migration, number one in new business
So like from a
formation,
Marvel movie.
recently ranked
We held the
number one in
line.
education. We have
For
a
the no, it's
15-year
like the
low crime
it's
rate,
like the
one
commercial
of the
for
lowest
Call of Duty
tax and
Finest
debt per
Hour.
capita
For
in
those who
America.
fought for
We
freedom,
also
it was
understand
the
governing
finest
is not
hour.
entertainment. It's not about building a brand or virtue signaling. It is about delivering results. And our results in Florida have been second to none. We can and we must deliver big results for America. I pledge to be an energetic executive that will take on the important issues. Biden's pursued inflationary policies that are hurting working people. We will reverse those policies and we'll build an economy where working Americans can achieve a good standard of living. Biden's opened the southern border and allowed mass.
Wow. Like, dude, you need a vision. Most, like, once again, most of what he said is not like bad. Like, law and order is good. Dealing with the border crisis is good. Dealing with drugs is good. Political correctness, wokeness, all these things are good. But there's no vision here. Like, what is the America that Ron wants? Like, Trump has a vision for America. It may be kind of schizo sometimes, but he has
We will
one.
ensure that those
There's nothing
violations
here.
of liberty can never happen again. Biden's allowed woke ideology to drive his agenda.
Literally just stole the policy from Trump.
We will never surrender to huge blowback for doing that from the bureaucracy, from elites,
This is
from
so
the
much.
media.
Okay, we're gonna
My
skip
view
ahead.
was
This
I had
is
to look
just
out for the
unbearable.
people I
Rain
represent.
like can feel my pain.
speakers
She's
in the queue
currently
to
sitting on
ask
the back of my
questions.
chair
I think maybe some
and just
people
waving
knew
her
this
tail
announcement was
into my
coming.
face.
There's
It's
been no
like she's
shortage
just
of hit
saying,
pieces on
"No,
you
stop,
in the press over the
stop."
last week or two. I want to ask you about some of these accusations that are being leveled at you. Last week, the NAACP issued a travel advisory against your state, claiming that Florida is not a safe place for minorities to visit. What do you say to those who've been advised that somehow they aren't welcome in your state?
Claiming that Florida is unsafe is a total farce. I mean, are you kidding me? You look at cities around this country, they are awash in crime. In Florida, our crime rate is at a 50-year low. If
you look at the top 25 cities for crime in America, Florida does not have a single
Okay, this is one of the few
amongst the top
legitimately good
25.
points.
And if you look at cities like Baltimore and Chicago, you got kids more likely to get shot than to receive a first-class education. I don't see the NAACP batting an eye about all the outrage and the carnage that's happening in those
That's
areas.
actually,
This
you
is
know
a
what?
political
Credit where
stunt.
credit's due. That's
These left-wing
pretty
groups
good.
have been doing it for
I would
many,
have
many
thought
years. And at
Miami
the end
would
of
be
the
in
day,
the
what they're
top
doing is colluding
25,
with
but I guess
legacy
it
media
isn't. So,
to try to
I
manufacture
mean,
a
that's
narrative.
good, and that
Now, the
is
good
like
news
a
is
decent
fewer
piece of
and fewer
rhetoric against
Americans are gullible enough to believe
Chicago.
this dribble. And platforms like Twitter are there where people can debunk these lies in real time. And I would just say, as an American citizen, if you are uncritically accepting narratives spun by legacy media and left-wing groups, you're failing at your job of being a conscientious citizen. And I think people just see right through it. And oh, by the way, have any of these travel advisories, because they've been doing this for a while, these left-wing
Okay, dude,
groups,
we get it that
have
you
any
like
of them
Elon
worked?
Musk.
Well, we're the #1 state for net in-migration and have been every year since I've been governor. We just capped the highest quarter for tourism in the history of the state of Florida. And our view is we want everybody to succeed regardless of their skin color. We don't divvy up people by race. At the same time, it is worth pointing out that we have in Florida more Black-owned businesses than any state in the nation. And we've also had more African Americans lead state agencies under my administration than at any time in Florida history. But with us, you know they're there because of merit, not because we're trying to play identity politics. And if you want to look at education, the Black students in Florida perform. It's also not a good way to be a critical thing. Education amongst our Black student population. And oh, by the
Okay,
way,
Ron, we got
the
it.
head of the NAACP lives in Florida, and a lot of their board members have put out on social media during my governorship Florida vacations where they seem to be having an awful good time.
That's great. Well, I mean, Florida's a great state, and I think everyone,
Okay, so that is pretty funny.
Some of the things that
The head of the NAACP lives in Florida. I mean, it's like when all the people who said that they were going to move to Canada when Trump got elected, that they all reneged on
someone
it.
could address the nation, or anyone who wanted to listen to them could, from anywhere in the world, the United States or anywhere, by the results that this is a means.
At Stanford, I want to pull him in here. Jake, you go ahead and unmute yourself if you can. It'd be great to hear from you. I know that during COVID, you worked with Governor DeSantis. It'd be great to see mistakes of the lockdowns that happened during the pandemic don't happen again when there's another pandemic.
Well, first, we need an honest reckoning about what happened during COVID. And the only honest reckoning is that all of those agencies, all of the elites, the public health establishment, they failed.
Oh.
They instituted bad policies. Obviously, it's a novel virus, but I think what happened was need to be cleaned out. What I saw, which will bar all, who was generally viewed as one of the best epidemiologists.
Do you have a comment on this?
He just kind of spits jargon. That's
well,
the
first
issue.
of all,
He just kind of sounds like a
a
robot.
big thank you to Elon Musk for buying Twitter and exposing all of this. On our weaponization committee, we wouldn't know so much of it if he hadn't done this, almost as a public service to the First Amendment. It's a disturbing trend. Government, as the governor said, the government is colluding with big corporations. We found out this week from an FBI whistleblower that Bank of America voluntarily gave names of and information on anybody who bought a hot dog in Washington, D.C. from January 5th to January 7th, and then overlaid that with gun purchases that they had on record anywhere in the country for any period of time. And just they say they voluntarily gave that to the FBI. So that's disturbing to me. By the way, I've never met Elon Musk, but I'm one of your biggest fans. I'm the first and signed to rein in this, sort of overreach of
entitled to get the same level of funding every year, and yet Congress runs the government on autopilot, either continuing resolutions
for my
or
understanding,
massive
Thomas
omnibus
Massey
spending
is
bills.
actually a pretty
So
good
these agencies
congressman.
are all bulletproof.
That was
They
kind of
know
an
that they're going to
interesting
end
point,
up
actually.
getting
I didn't know that.
something similar or more every single year, and it creates an incentive for them to abuse
Oh.
their power. Just defer to quote unquote experts. Open during COVID, and they were closed. Important voice in that.
Absolutely. Well, in fact, a friend of mine, Tim Urban, who has a blog.
These were not state-owned bridges, and they say
earlier this year when Wells Fargo Bank dumped.
Okay, I can't watch anymore. It's just too boring. It's kind of hard to even like. I'm so like I. To be fair, like it doesn't seem as bad as I said it was because I skipped through a lot of shit. Like I skipped through half of his speech at the beginning. But this is what we had, like this dysfunctional Twitter space. Like I don't know. I just don't get it. It just it makes you look like a joke. It makes you look like a moron. It makes you look like you don't know what you're doing. When you do that and you do this stupid fucking Ron DeSantis website that looks like something a fifth grader made, I just they just like I don't know. They just have to do better. You got to do better.